Welcome to another deep dive, and folks, this time we are going deep, like really deep into the Bermuda Triangle.
Ooh, that's my kind of deep
I
dive.
thought you might say that. Today we're diving into the Bermuda Triangle by Charles Berlitz.
A classic.
This book was published in 1984 and quickly climbed the bestseller lists. It's like the ultimate guide to all things spooky and mysterious in the Bermuda Triangle.
And it's not just stories, is it? Berlitz throws in pictures, maps, charts.
Yeah, he really goes all out.
Yeah,
So are you ready to unravel this enigma with me?
absolutely. I'm always up for a good mystery. And what's really interesting about Berlitz's book is how he doesn't just recount the disappearances. He dives into some truly wild theories.
Oh yeah, like time-space warps and black holes.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, hey, anything is possible in the Bermuda Triangle, which, is kind of terrifying, but also super intriguing.
It definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat. So let's set the stage a little. We're talking about the southeastern Atlantic coast, an area that's become synonymous with unexplained disappearances.
Right, the Devil's Triangle, a place where ships and planes just vanish into thin air.
But before we get to those spooky disappearances, Berlitz actually takes us on a little detour to the Indian Ocean. Did you know there have been reports of prehistoric creatures still swimming around out there?
No way. Like, what kind of creatures?
Well, there's this one. Sounds pretty freaky, like a four-gilled fish with limbs.
Okay, that's definitely prehistoric.
It just makes you realize how much of the ocean is still a complete mystery to us.
It's true. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the depths of our own oceans.
And that sense of the unknown, that vastness, it really sets the tone for Berlitz's exploration of the Bermuda Triangle. He's basically saying, hey, if we can have these bizarre creatures lurking in the depths, who knows what else might be out there?
I like how he connects that to the Bermuda Triangle by talking about sightings of sea serpents and giant squid in the area.
Oh yeah, those are always fun. Do you remember that account of a sea serpent spotted off the coast of Massachusetts back in 1917?
I think I read about that one. Wasn't it massive?
It was estimated to be 139 yards long.
Wow, that's bigger than a football field. Okay, so we've got these strange sea creatures lurking in the depths. But Berlitz also digs into something that might surprise you.
What's that?
Global ocean currents.
Oh, yeah. He talks about how they flow in opposite directions depending on the hemisphere, clockwise above the equator, counterclockwise below.
It's crazy to think about these massive underwater rivers constantly shaping the ocean floor.
And that's where things start to get really interesting. Berlitz suggests that these currents, along with shifting continental shelves, could have created a false bottom in the ocean.
A false bottom? What does that even mean?
Well, imagine layers of sediment building up over time, potentially hiding entire sunken civilizations beneath them.
Whoa, you're saying there could be ancient cities buried under the ocean floor.
It's a possibility. Berlitz even brings up those submerged structures that were photographed off the coast of Peru. They seem to support the theory that large areas of land could have dropped dramatically into the ocean in the past.
That's mind-blowing. Just imagine all the secrets that could be hidden down there.
It's like a whole other world waiting to be discovered. Okay, so we have a sense of the ocean's power, its hidden depths, and its potential to hold secrets. But let's get to what everyone really wants to talk about. Those unexplained disappearances.
Right, the heart of the Bermuda Triangle mystery.
And Berlitz really focuses on the case of Flight 19, those 5 TBM Avenger bombers that vanished in December. You ever read about that one?
Oh yeah, that one's super creepy. 5 planes just got poof without a trace.
It's like they flew into another dimension. What gets me are the radio transmissions from the flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor.
Oh, I remember reading those. He was reporting compass malfunctions, saying things like, the sea looked different.
It's as if he was describing some alien landscape or a parallel reality. And then silence. Nothing. No wreckage, no survivors, just a haunting mystery.
It's enough to make you shiver. And the official investigation didn't really come up with any solid answers.
Yeah, that's what's so unsettling about these cases. It's like they defy explanation.
They really do. And Flight 19 is just the tip of the iceberg. Berlitz goes on to describe a whole bunch of other unexplained disappearances.
Oh yeah, he piles on the mystery, doesn't he? Like the USS Cyclops, a Navy collier carrying over 300 people and a cargo of manganese, gone without a trace in 1918.
That one's crazy, a ship that big just disappearing. It doesn't make sense.
And what's striking is how many of these disappearances involve sudden radio silence, no wreckage, no distress calls. It's like they were just swallowed whole.
The Cyclops, for instance, disappeared in perfectly calm weather conditions.
Yeah, no storms, no rough seas, just poof, vanished.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
And then there are those British passenger planes, the Star Tiger and Star Ariel, gone in 1948 and 1949. Again, no wreckage, no distress calls, just silence.
It's a pattern, isn't it? Like the Bermuda Triangle has this habit of just erasing things from existence.
It's a pretty terrifying thought, isn't it? So the big question is, what could possibly explain these events?
Well, that's where Berlitz gets really creative. He throws out all sorts of possibilities, from the plausible to the truly bizarre.
Right, he's got everything from rogue waves and methane eruptions to time-space warps and alien abductions.
It's like he's saying, here are all the ingredients, you decide what you want to believe.
And I think that's part of what makes his book so compelling. It makes you think, it makes you question, it makes you wonder if there are forces at work that we just don't understand yet.
I agree. And it definitely leaves you wanting more.
And trust me, there's a lot more to come. We're just getting started with our deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle.
I can't wait to see what other mysteries we uncover.
But before we go any further, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Bermuda Triangle? What theories stand out to you? Share your insights, your questions, your wildest speculations, because the journey of discovery is always more exciting when we explore it together.
Absolutely. Let's unravel this mystery together. Pick us up in the comments, and we'll be back soon with more from the Bermuda Triangle.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle. Last time we were talking about some of the strange happenings and spooky disappearances that Charles Berlitz writes about in his book.
Right, like rogue waves and those methane eruptions, and then he throws in time-space warps and maybe aliens are abducting people.
It's a lot. But what's really cool is that he tries to tie it all together. He's looking for patterns, connections, you know?
Like he thinks there might be something bigger going on, something we don't quite understand yet.
Exactly. So let's dig into some specific cases. Maybe we can find some clues.
Sounds good to me. Where should we start?
How about Flight 19? I think that's the most famous Bermuda Triangle disappearance. 5 TBM Avenger bombers just vanish in 1945. No trace.
Yeah, it's like they just flew into another dimension. And those radio transmissions from the flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, they're really eerie.
I know, right? He's
Well-
talking about his compass going crazy and saying the sea looks different. Like, what does that even mean?
Almost like he was seeing something we can't even imagine. And then silence. No wreckage, no survivors, just a big question mark.
It's unsettling for sure, and the official investigation, it didn't really get us any closer to the truth.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Like, we want answers, but the Bermuda Triangle just doesn't give them up easily.
Definitely. But maybe we can at least try to find some logical explanations. So before we jump to aliens and wormholes, let's look at what the investigators considered at the time.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. What were some of their theories?
Well, one idea was that Lieutenant Taylor got disoriented and flew the squadron off course. I mean, the Atlantic's huge. It'd be easy to get lost out there, especially with compass problems.
I guess that makes sense, but wouldn't they have been able to radio for help?
Well, that's the thing. Taylor mentioned having radio issues too, so even if they knew they were in trouble, they might not have been able to get a message out.
Okay, I can see that happening. But what about the lack of wreckage? You'd think they would have found at least some pieces of the planes, even if they went down in the ocean.
True, but think about it. Back then, in 1945, deep sea exploration wasn't as advanced as it is now. It's possible the wreckage sank too deep for them to find it.
And I bet those ocean currents play a role too. They could have scattered the debris over a huge area.
Absolutely. It's like trying to find a needle in a constantly moving haystack.
It makes you realize just how powerful the ocean really is. Okay, so Flight 19 is a tough one to crack. What about another famous disappearance, the USS Cyclops? That one always gets to me. A massive Navy ship just vanishes in 1918. Over 300 people on board.
I know, it's chilling, isn't it? And the Cyclops was a huge ship built to withstand rough seas. It doesn't make sense for it to just disappear like that.
And Berlitz points out that it happened in calm weather. No storms or anything. Adds to the mystery, right?
Totally. If there had been a big storm, we could at least try to explain it away. But calm seas, no distress signal, it just makes it even creepier.
So what are some of the theories about what happened to the Cyclops?
Well, some people think it could have been a rogue wave. Those things are like walls of water. They can reach over 100 feet high.
I've seen videos of those. They're terrifying.
I know, right? And they can appear out of nowhere. If one of those hit the Cyclops broadside, it could easily have capsized.
And if it sank quickly in deep water, maybe that's why they never found the wreckage.
Makes sense. The ocean floor is vast, and we've only explored a tiny fraction of it. The Cyclops could be down there somewhere, lost in the depths.
A ghost ship resting on the ocean floor. It's a sobering thought. But I feel like we need to talk about some of those wilder theories. Berlitz throws out some crazy ideas like time-space warps and alien abductions.
Oh, yeah, those are always fun to think about. But should we take them seriously?
I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, they sound pretty out there. But on the other hand, the Bermuda Triangle is full of unexplained events. Maybe there's something to those theories.
I guess it depends on how open-minded you are. I mean, we don't know everything about the universe, right?
True. So let's talk about time-space warps. How would something like that even work?
Well, picture space-time like a big sheet, okay? And gravity, or maybe some other force, can bend that sheet, create like a dip or a wrinkle.
Okay, I'm trying to picture that.
And if a ship or plane gets caught in one of those dips, maybe it gets thrown off course, or maybe it even travels through time or to another dimension.
That's pretty wild, like a portal to another reality.
Exactly. But it's all theoretical, of course. We don't have any proof that these warps actually exist.
So, for now, it's just a cool idea. What about magnetic anomalies? We talked about compasses behaving strangely in the triangle. Could that explain the disappearances?
Some researchers think so. Maybe there are strong magnetic fields in the area that mess with navigation equipment, even aircraft engines.
So ships and planes can be thrown off course by these invisible forces.
Exactly. And if the magnetic force was strong enough, it could even cause a ship to sink or a plane to crash.
I can imagine that being terrifying, being a pilot, and suddenly your instruments go haywire and you lose control.
Talk about a nightmare scenario. It just shows you that even with all our technology, we're still at the mercy of forces we don't fully understand.
All right, let's talk about the big one. Alien abductions. Berlitz doesn't shy away from that theory, and it's always been popular. What do you think? Could aliens be behind the Bermuda Triangle mysteries?
It's definitely a fun idea. Imagine these advanced aliens just swooping down and snatching up ships and planes. It's like something straight out of a movie.
I know. And maybe there's a part of us that wants to believe it's true. Like it makes more sense for there to be some intelligent being behind these disappearances rather than just random events.
Right. But as much as I love a good alien story, we need to remember there's no real evidence to support it. Let's not jump to conclusions just yet.
We need to be open-minded, but also critical. So let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the history of the Bermuda Triangle. Berlitz mentions the Sargasso Sea, that huge area of calm water in the middle of the triangle.
Oh yeah, the Sargasso Sea. It's famous for all that seaweed, and it's got a creepy reputation.
I've heard sailors are afraid of it, like it's a graveyard of lost ships.
I've heard that too. And Berlitz tells stories about ships being found abandoned in the Sargasso Sea with their crews vanished, just like those ghost ships we talked about before.
It's like the Sargasso Sea has its own set of mysteries within the Bermuda Triangle.
Exactly. A mystery within a mystery. So, let's see, we've got disappearing ships, strange magnetic stuff, maybe time travel, maybe aliens, and a whole bunch of spooky legends. What else does Berlitz talk about?
He mentions Atlantis.
Oh, wow, Atlantis. You're kidding?
Nope. He actually suggests that Atlantis might be located somewhere under the waves in the Bermuda Triangle.
No way. You think he's serious?
He points to some old maps and underwater rock formations as possible evidence. It's a long shot, of course, but it's a pretty cool idea.
It would be incredible if it were true. Just imagine finding the lost city of Atlantis. It would be the biggest archaeological discovery ever.
It would rewrite history. Okay, let's talk about something else that always gets people excited. The Philadelphia experiment.
Oh yeah, the Philadelphia experiment. That's a classic.
It's like a mix of science fiction and conspiracy theory. Basically, the story is that during World War II, the Navy was trying to make a destroyer invisible to radar.
And it went wrong, right?
It's the legend. The ship, the USS Eldridge, not only became invisible, but it also teleported to another location for a short time.
Teleported. Like in Star Trek?
That's what they say, but there's no official proof that it ever happened. So it's probably just a story, an urban legend.
Most likely, but it's a fun one.
Yeah.
And it's become so connected to the Bermuda Triangle myth.
And Berlitz ties them together by suggesting that maybe both involve some kind of manipulation of electromagnetic fields or space-time, like those warps we were talking about.
So he thinks there might be a link between this supposed experiment and the weird things happening in the triangle. Intriguing.
Definitely. But we're getting into some pretty speculative territory here. Maybe it's time to bring it back down to earth and talk about some of the more realistic explanations for the Bermuda Triangle.
Sounds good. Berlitz does mention things like rogue waves, methane eruptions, and even human error. Those could definitely be factors in some cases.
Let's start with those rogue waves. What exactly are they, and how could they sink a ship?
Okay, so imagine you're out at sea and you see this massive wall of water coming towards you, much bigger than any of the other waves. That's a rogue wave. They can be over 100 feet tall and they can appear suddenly.
They sound terrifying.
They are. If one of those hit a ship on the side, it could easily roll it over and sink it.
I can see how that could happen. What about those methane eruptions? How could they be a problem?
Well, there are these things called methane hydrates on the ocean floor, basically frozen methane gas. And sometimes they can become unstable and release huge amounts of gas into the water.
And that would be bad for ships.
It could be. The methane bubbles make the water less dense, so ships lose buoyancy and can sink more easily.
Wow, so it's like the ocean floor itself could be a danger. And then there's human error, which is always a factor, right?
Absolutely. People make mistakes, whether it's navigating incorrectly, having equipment failure, or just making bad decisions under pressure.
It's easy to imagine a pilot getting lost or a ship captain making a wrong turn and ending up in trouble.
And the ocean is unforgiving. Even a small mistake can have huge consequences.
So it seems like there are a lot of possible explanations for what happens in the Bermuda Triangle. But does Berlitz ever give us a definitive answer?
Not really. He lays out all these possibilities, but he doesn't say, this is it. This is the solution to the mystery.
So the mystery continues.
It does, and that's part of what makes it so fascinating. The Bermuda Triangle keeps us guessing, keeps us wondering. It's a reminder that there are still things we don't understand about the world.
So to wrap things up, are we any closer to solving the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle?
Maybe, maybe not. We've learned more about the science behind some of the theories, but the disappearances, those are still a puzzle.
I guess some mysteries are meant to stay unsolved. It's like they add a little bit of magic to the world.
I think you're right. The Bermuda Triangle will probably always be a source of fascination and speculation, and that's okay. It keeps us curious, keeps us exploring, keeps us wondering what else might be out there.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle. We've covered a lot of ground, everything from rogue waves to time travel, alien abductions, the whole works.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I think what Berlitz does really well in his book is he connects all these ideas. Like, he's suggesting there's something truly unique about this area, something almost beyond our comprehension.
Right, it's not just a random collection of strange events. It feels like there's a pattern, a deeper mystery. And Berlitz even uses terms like electronic fog and time-space warps to describe what might be happening.
Yeah.
What do those terms even mean?
Well, think of electronic fog like a sudden disruption of anything electronic, especially navigation systems. Pilots have reported flying into these zones where their compasses go haywire, radios stop working, instruments just go blank.
It's like a sudden tech blackout.
Exactly, and Berlitz suggests that these fogs might be caused by some kind of energy field or force that we don't understand yet.
Spooky. And what about time-space warps? That one always blows my mind. How could something like that even be possible?
So picture space-time not as a flat surface, but more like a flexible sheet that can be bent or warped by gravity.
Okay, I'm trying to picture it.
Now imagine something, maybe a massive energy source, creates a dip in that sheet right in the Bermuda Triangle.
So ships and planes get caught in this dip and maybe they vanish or get transported somewhere else.
That's the theory. It's definitely on the edge of science fiction, but it's a fascinating concept.
Speaking of strange events, can we talk about Morris K. Jessup? His story is almost as strange as the Bermuda Triangle itself.
Oh yeah, Jessup was a fascinating guy, a researcher who was really into UFOs and unexplained phenomena. He even wrote a book about it.
And he died under mysterious circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Officially ruled a suicide, but there were some weird details.
Yeah, he was found dead in his car from carbon monoxide poisoning. But some people believe he might have been murdered because of his research into UFOs and things like the Philadelphia experiment.
Hold on. Murdered. Because he knew too much.
It's a theory, and it definitely adds to the mystery surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. Like, there are forces at play trying to keep certain things hidden.
That's a little creepy, to be honest. So, after all this, are we any closer to solving the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle?
I'd say we have more questions than answers. We've explored a lot of interesting theories, some more plausible than others, but the truth is, those disappearances are still largely unexplained.
I guess some mysteries are just meant to stay unsolved. It's what keeps us curious and coming back for more. It's been a fascinating journey exploring the Bermuda Triangle with you.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun to dive into these mysteries and see where they lead us.
And thanks to all of you for listening to The Deep Dive. Don't forget to check out our show notes for more information and resources. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the unknown.